They learn how to play both sides of the puck. We can go down that rabbit hole all day long with all these other leagues, and but we have Division I caliber hockey players in our league, and a lot of them.
With dedication to development and player experience, Zach Stepan will continue to lead the charge for the Minnesota Wilderness this upcoming year. On this installation of NA Now, Zach shares what is ahead for the organization and what fans can expect of the 2025-26 roster.
Yeah, I think as every other NA team does, like right after the Robertson Cup, we get into our pre-draft camps, and then you have main camp that's usually somewhere in July. For me personally, it was a lot of travel. One of the things that I didn't get to do much of last year, because I started in the NA3 with the NA3 Wilderness team, was I was looking and recruiting kind of a different crop of player. So I spent the first 7-8 weeks of summer getting on the road and going and watching a lot of players, just so I could get back into the player pool that we'd want to be looking at.
And looking at your main camp, what has impressed you the most from what you saw at main camp?
I think my returners are probably what impressed me the most. And the reason I say that is we have a lot of them, so you can get complacent really quickly when you have as many returners as we're supposed to have this upcoming year. And I didn't see that complacency much at main camp. So that part was exciting for me. All the kids that we tendered and drafted, and some of the free agents that'll be coming to training camp out of main camp, there was definitely some good surprises there, and then some kids that we saw take a jump over the summer, but not having that complacency. Like, my returners were my best players at main camp, and that's how it should be.
With having those returners, how important is it to have those veterans in the locker room and on the bench for the upcoming year?
I think it's good from the culture perspective, especially because it took us with a mid-season coaching change. It takes some time to kind of revamp culture, and it's not that it was a bad culture by any means. When I came in, it's just different, right? I do things differently than Colton did, and vice versa, right? So them getting to learn me as a person, as a coach, and then how I do my day-to-day, that took some time last year. And some of that had to do strictly because I think I was there for a week and a half, and then we were off to Alaska. So there wasn't a lot of time to really break things down. So I think from the culture in the locker room, that'll be big, but then also just how we play. Right, like they're going to be able to take some of these new guys under their wings and teach them how we want to play the game. And if we do it the right way, the way we play is pretty fun.
How would you describe your coaching style? I know coming in mid-season or early in the season, it was in October, is not easy. Like you said, you were thrown into you all going to Alaska. But how would you describe your coaching style?
I think I'm definitely more of a player's coach. I think I probably, especially last year with it being a coaching change, I probably might have been a little too lenient on some things when it comes to like the details of the game and stuff like that. Like, I wanted the kids to enjoy coming to the rink. And I think that's where me as a coach, I can start to get a little bit harder in some of those areas. But at the same time, I think if you don't enjoy coming to the rink, then what are you doing here? So I try to not coach in fear, I guess, is my biggest thing. I call it the 6 bullets in the chamber that the guys know about. I get 6 of them a year where I can go off. But I try to strategically use those instead of doing it all the time. So I think for me, I've played for coaches like that, and there's a lot of things I learned from those guys on how to win games. And I'm trying to mesh the two together, and I'm still learning how to do that.
Absolutely. And with you going into your second season leading the charge for the Minnesota Wilderness, what are your big goals heading into the year?
Well, playoffs is one. Us missing out in the last game of the year last year after doing a really good job. I think we went 11-4 to finish the season in that playoff push. You can't ask the kids to do much more. And then Chippewa just took the cake up in Alaska. So that's one. But two, I think Everyone can probably say this, but I think we have a chance to have a really good season as long as we don't get complacent, right? Like we did a lot of good things last year. We had a lot of good analytics from our hockey team last year, and we got a lot of them coming back. And so if they can continue to just kind of start where they left off, it should put us out ahead early on and give us some more wiggle room than us playing playoff hockey for 2.5 months like we had to last year.
Absolutely. And for yourself, I know you said that you're a player's coach and you have experience playing hockey. You played a high level of junior hockey and you played a high level of NCAA Division I hockey. How does those experiences shape you and prepare you as you head into your second season as a coach, or second season as the head coach of the Wilderness, excuse me?
Yeah, I guess there's probably two parts to that. There's the player side of understanding what I liked and didn't like. But on the coaching side, obviously you learn and understand why some things happened that I didn't necessarily know of as a player. And it goes back to me just trying to mesh the two together. I played for some really good coaches growing up, like Tom Ward at Shattuck has won so many national championships you can't even count. PK O'Hanley, who I don't know if he still is, but he's at least in second for winningest coach in the USHL. Mike Hastings was the winningest coach in a decade at Mankato. And then I coached under Steve Jennings, who's now at Air Force, and Scott Langer, who's the winningest coach in the NA. So you learn a lot of different ways. Like those guys know how to win games. And there's ways that they do it that I'm still learning how to try to take what they do that allows them to win games and then add the player coaching side to it. And I ain't there yet, but I felt like last year down the stretch, we started to get pretty close.
Absolutely. And winning is ultimately super fun and amazing, but also a huge component of the North American Hockey League is advancing guys to the next level. And from last season's roster, it featured 8 athletes securing NCAA commitments. How does it feel as a coach to see your athletes have those opportunities at that next level?
Yeah, I think, like you said, that's probably as much as winning. Like if they go hand in hand, right? Like if you're developing kids to play at the next level, chances are you're probably winning some hockey games. And so that part's good. And like with our team last year being a little bit on the younger side, we were pretty excited. We have 8 guys from last year's roster that are actually starting in the USHL this year. And so that was really big for us. And then we only had, I think, 3, by the end of the year, 3 20-year-olds on our roster. And so the USHL was a little more preferable based on the age group of our guys last year, where this year college commitments are going to be everything because we have an older group.
Looking at the history of the Minnesota Wilderness, it is wrapping up their 12th season in the league. What about the Wilderness stands out as as an organization and also a location to play in?
Yeah, I think fortunately enough over the years, and I can't speak overly a lot about past owners other than what I've heard, but they've always had good ownership groups, right? And that's a big piece. And I know part of why I made the switch from Des Moines to go handle that NA3 team last year was to work for Barry Bowman and Brenda Bowman, our owners. And so they give us they're in it just for the kids, right? And it makes my job a heck of a lot easier when you have that support system behind you. And then on top of it, location-wise, we're just so close to so many colleges, right? We're realistically driving distance. Like if you want to say 6 hours is the longest driving distance, you have Augustana, you have North Dakota, you have Minnesota, Mankato, St. Cloud, Duluth, obviously right there, Wisconsin. Like we're just so close to so many schools that we are fortunate enough that coaches from those programs can come for a day, right? They don't have to make this big, weekend recruiting trip to come watch our guys play. And I think that's a big piece of it.
Absolutely. And from what you've seen of the North American Hockey League, what makes the players who play in the league a little bit different than any other junior league out there?
They learn how to play both sides of the puck. We can go down that rabbit hole all day long with all these other leagues, but we have Division I caliber hockey players in our league, and a lot of them. I know there's a lot going on with the CHL thing, and I get that, but from a 200-foot learning the details of the game, there's a lot of good coaches in this league that know how to make kids ready to play college hockey, and that's why we'll continue to do what we do. And as long as colleges continue to come watch our guys play.
What drives you as a coach?
Whew, that's a good one. Honestly, I got into coaching so that kids nowadays don't have to go through some of the things I went through as a player. And I won't ever get into that. And a lot of things are good learning opportunities, both sides. But that comes back to the player coach thing. Like, I think there's a way to do it both ways. And you do it out of respect and not fear. And again, times are changing too, right? So that's a big piece of this. There's no piece of this that I say is right or wrong. I'm just trying to do it differently, and we're going to see if it works.
And kind of reflecting on the season, what's been one of your favorite memories being a part of the Minnesota Wilderness and being able to lead the NA side of the team?
I think my favorite, honestly, probably my favorite memory is how fortunate I was to have the kids when I first got there in October reel me in pretty quickly. I didn't have to do a lot, thankfully, to get them to want to listen and to want to do the things that I was telling them to do. I was fortunate that they had a good group in that locker room. Colton, Brandon Ferns, Steve Williams, all those guys that built that team before I got there put a really good group of kids in that room. And so it was a really fun group to walk into because it could have went the other way.
Absolutely. And the NA showcase is quickly approaching as the season's quickly approaching. What are you excited for once you hit Blaine, Minnesota with the Minnesota Wilderness for the greatest show on ice?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about for that one. One, for the kids, right? And what they're going to get to showcase. But two, our schedule is going to be pretty fun. We get to have the Minnesota battle with Austin and with the Mallards, which will be fun, especially because their new head coach, Weston Machad, is a Cloquet native. So that'll be fun. And then same thing, getting to play against Steve Howard and Dan Wildfong, because we got Lone Star as well. Those are seasoned coaches. Like, I'll be able to learn a lot from playing against those guys this year and how they play and how they get their guys to play. And so it'll be fun to see how my group stacks up.
Absolutely. And to wrap up this interview, what should fans at home expect with the upcoming Minnesota Wilderness roster for this upcoming year?
Yeah, I think just experience. Even the guys that aren't returners, we got a lot of experience coming in, and it's, the NA can be considered a 2-year rebuild if you do it the right way. But they should expect us to win a lot more games than we did last year.
Well, Zach, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. We're excited for the season to kick off, and we'll see you soon in Blaine, Minnesota.
Sounds good. I appreciate your time.